Good morning. Today I want to discuss mandala offerings, and most specifically the gesture we use for the mandala offering. Now, it appears to be a bit tricky to learn, so here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to show you how to do it one time. Then I'm going to talk about some background about mandala offerings. Then I'm going to show you how to do it a second time. Then I'm going to talk some specifics about the wording and its relevance of the prayer. Then I'm going to show you a third and final time. After all, if after all that you still have difficulty doing the mandala gesture or mudra in Sanskrit, then just watch the video again, you big silly head. Okay. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up and angle the camera down. So here's the deal. Right hand, left hand. Take the flat of the right middle finger, place it at the base of the left index finger. Left index finger closes over the fingertip of the right middle finger and holds in place. Then the opposite happens. The left index finger comes to the base of the right index finger. The right index finger closes and holds it in place. At this point in time, you touch the middle fingers together. Then you take the right pinky, place it at the base, well, not really the base, but between the left middle finger and the left pinky, and you hold that in place with the thumb. And you take the left pinky, put it just below the right pinky, and hold that in place with the right thumb. And so what you have is Mount Meru and the 4 continents. Once again, middle finger, ring fingers, pinky, pinky. Easy peasy left and squeezy. I assure you, no joints were broken in the forming of this gesture or mudra. So, what I'm going to do at this moment is let you see my silly face again. Boom. And I'm going to give you a bit of a history about the mandala offering. First of all, the big question, why make offerings? And I'll answer that question with another question. What's the meaning of life? Now, I've gone into great details about this in different essays and different videos, so I'll be very concise here. If you're going to speak to a Buddhist fundamentalist, specifically if he was a Buddhist Tantric fundamentalist, he would say this. He'd say the beginning of life is found in accumulating or collecting the 2 accumulations for the 2 purposes. Well, that's pretty cryptic. You want to flesh that out a bit for us? Certainly. The meaning of life is found in collecting the 2 collections of good karma and wisdom for the 2 purposes of personal enlightenment and universal enlightenment. In other words, I become a high bodhisattva, then I turn around and help liberate you from sufferings and their causes. So, what were the 2 collections? Good karma and wisdom. Now, in previous videos and in previous essays, we've already explored that the most efficient way of increasing your good karma is through the mental yogas of compassion and love. Both wishing compassion and wishing love, as well as acting on compassion and acting on love, both physically as well as metaphysically. Once again, these are things we've covered in greater detail in different videos and different essays. This is just a touchstone so that you don't feel completely lost. But remember, we talked about interconnection. We talked about how everything is affected and affects everything else, both directly and indirectly, if not actually, then at least potentially. Having said all that, Buddhism did not manifest on this earth plane in a vacuum. It developed in a Hindu culture where there were pujas and there were offerings. So in a culture where there was already a history of offerings, Buddhism taught people how to use offerings in a way that's in harmony with the Buddha's teachings. Now, when I was a Buddhist fundamentalist, I used to go berserk with offerings. I'd do these 8 water offerings, and this 8 auspicious offerings, and the 8 extensive offerings. And I used to coerce traveling lamas to give me teachings with the promise of Indian food for lunch. My former wife, bless her heart, was half Indian, and so she taught me how to cook a bunch of Indian food. And we'd cook Indian food, and the visiting lama would come over for lunch, and then give me Dharma lessons, or sometimes the other way around. Anyway, one time a visiting lama said, "You are working far too hard. You are working too hard." In other words, I was wasting too much time and energy on extensive offerings. There were more efficient ways of generating good karma. Why do offerings at all? It's fun. It's fun. Ask any man in a successful relationship. Did he buy his woman's love with a rose? Hell no. But did it make him feel good to give his wife a red rose? Yes. Did it make her feel good to receive a red rose? Yes. Did that help to nurture the relationship? Yes. One of the reasons I enjoy making offerings, selfishly, is because it makes me feel close. When I make an offering, when I offer a candle to Chenrezig, I feel the bliss of devotion in my heart. When I make an offering of a candle to my teacher, I feel the bliss of devotion in my heart. When I make an offering of a candle to Korean Tare, I feel the bliss of devotion in my heart. Remember, that bliss doesn't make me a good person. I'm sure Hitler was capable of feeling great amounts of bliss. But bliss is useful. It's a fun way to coalesce one's energies into one's central channel. And it's a fun thing to notice for concentration and to deconstruct for wisdom. There is a lovely story, and it may be true, it may be apocryphal, but it's a fun story. As a fundamentalist, we're really concerned if these stories are right or not. And as a liberal, we're not concerned about that. We're concerned if this is a story, do a good job of teaching a point. So, there's a fun story. The one time there was a Buddha traveling through a hamlet of India. And people were really excited, and they were making offerings. And this little boy wanted to make offerings, but he was a poor boy from a poor family. And yes, that sounds a little bit like Bohemian Rhapsody, but I hope Queen will forgive me. Yeah. And right now I can hear the song in my head. Anywho, there was a poor boy from a poor family, and he didn't have the wherewithal to buy offerings to make to the Buddha, so he just scooped up some dirt, and he poured it in his hand. In his mind, he visualized it was a pile of jewels that he offered to the Buddha. And so the story goes on to say that that little boy, because of his imaginary offering, because of the intention behind his imaginary offering, earned so much good karma that in his next life, he was born as wealthy King Ashoka, arguably the most powerful and wealthy of all the Buddhist kings to rule in India. Now, is that true? I don't know. Is that false? But is it a fun story? It really, really is. And there are many things to take away from that story. One is that the Buddha is not an uptight bastard. crossing his arms, tapping his foot, and scowling while all his shitheads get our act together. Not at all. The cool thing is, just like the gospel account of the widow's mite, our offerings are more of predicated on our heart than they are on our purse strings, which is awfully nice if you're a low-budget fellow such as myself. So, in time, the mandala offering became a highly ritualized prayer. And mandala has several translations. The older the languages, the more meanings the words have. Mandala can mean circle. Mandala can mean universe. And so the idea is that you offer a universe in its idealized form, comprised of precious substances, filled with jewels, to the Buddha. For instance, if you think a Lexus is a precious substance, then you offer a universe full of Lexuses. If you think doggies are a precious substance, and you like Bichon Frises, then you offer a universe full of Bichon Frises. And if you're a cat, you better not enter that universe. It would be vitty bad. If you like flowers, then you offer a universe full of flowers. You get the basic idea. But it became very, very ritualized, and there were concise mandala offerings, and middling mandala offerings, and extensive mandala offerings. And the fundamentalists really, really like the extensive mandala offerings. And they take a plate, and they take some special water, some special grains, and they rub it one direction, and then they rub it in another direction, and they sprinkle some grains down, and they put a metal ring down, and they start piling things in different directions to represent Meru and the 4 continents and the 8 subcontinents, according to ancient Buddhist, ancient Indian cosmology. They put down a second ring and visualize these really cool offering substances, and another ring with even more offering substances and an ornament on top, and they offer it, and they think it's really, really cool, and maybe they set that to the side and do it 2 more times, and maybe then they do the concise offering maybe 100 times or 300 times a day, every day, and they conclude with another extensive offering. Now oops, let me show you my face again. Hello, it's my face. So, in Tibet, there's something that grew, especially in Tibet, didn't start in India, called the Ngondro, which can be translated as the Tantric preliminary practices. They consider the Sutric preliminary practices to be contemplation of the 4 thoughts of impermanence, death, suffering, karma, and the preciousness of this human life. And traditionally, fundamentally, there's a very fear-oriented meditation so that we get our act together and stop being little karmic shitheads. Bless the fundamentalists. And then they do the Tantric preliminary practices, which according to some people is bowing, Vajrasattva, prayers of purification, mandala offerings, and then the Guru mantra. So some people do that as a collection of 4. The Kargis traditionally do that as a collection of 4. The Gelags look at it as a collection of 5, because they also, instead of doing the refuge prayer while doing the prostrations, they make the refuge and bodhicitta prayer a separate collection, and they use a different ritual for collecting prostrations. So these become 5 collections of 100,000 each, sometimes gathered once, sometimes gathered every single year. In the Nyingmas, what they do is, when it comes to the Guru Yoga, they do a long Guru Yoga prayer 100,000 times, and they do a short Guru Yoga mantra about 1.2 million times. That's a whole bunch. My question, because once again, I'm a liberal, I'm a radical Lama, ooh, be careful, is, hey, can you accumulate the entire Ngondro in 7 days? And the answer is, of course you can't. You cannot collect, 5 collections of 100,000 different rituals in 7 days. It cannot be done. But remember, in the Satipatthana Sutta, Buddha said full enlightenment can be accomplished in as little as 7 days. And there's no provisos. It doesn't say, but only for special. It says it can be accomplished in 7 days. So as a radical liberal, before adopting any practice, I say, is this conceivable? Is this something that I can do within 7 days to become a Buddha in less than a fortnight? If it isn't, I don't do it. But I still teach the concise and the middling mandala offerings because they're very beautiful and they're fun. I don't teach them as something you have to do 100,000 times. Just something you do maybe once a day, maybe twice a day. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Now, once again, now that we have some background, some context, let's revisit the mudra, or the gesture, for the concise mandala offering. Stand up and show you my desk. Behold the desk. Okay, here's my hand. Right middle finger to the base of the left index finger. Left index finger curls and holds it down. Left middle finger to the base of the right index finger. Right index finger curls and holds it down. Okay. Now, the 2 ring fingers join and become Mount Meru. The right pinky, here's the right pinky, folds down between the left pinky and the left ring finger. The left thumb holds it down. The left pinky extends into the right palm below the right pinky, and the right thumb holds it down. So you have Mount Meru and the 4 continents. Once again, this is a reference to ancient Indian cosmology, and its only significance is that it represents the entire universe. So once again, middle, index, ring, ring, pinky, thumb, pinky, thumb. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, that's the second demonstration. So now I'm going to go through a word-by-word exploration of the concise and then the middling mandala prayers. The concise prayers: the ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers. Now let's explore that for a second. Folks, there was a time when people just emptied their chamber pots on the streets. Their journey down the road was not an olfactory delight. You'd smell pee and poo, and it would be nasty. So the idea of the ground being sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers makes a lot of sense. The great mountain, 4 lands, sun and moon, we've already explored that. Once again, let's get the camera down. That's, come on, focus. You gotta love autofocus. That's the great mountain, 4 lands, and of course the sun and moon. You would visualize the moon over here. I'm sorry, the sun over here and the moon over here. I'm pointing with my chin, which is kind of lame. So here is the sun, and here is the moon. All dignity, all the time. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers, the great mountain, 4 lands, sun and moon, seen as a pure land and offered this, thus. So what's a pure land? Quick review. I've already mentioned this in different essays and blogs. Blogs and videos. But a pure land is, from a fundamentalist point of view, a pure land is an actual place. It's a Buddha's paradise that pure Dharma practitioners can choose to take rebirth there if they haven't already completed their journey to enlightenment. And once they're there, they can rapidly complete their journey to enlightenment and also bless many people. Now, a liberal would say that may be true, or it may only be a metaphor for the idea of the wish that may wherever I am be an ideal place, an ideal circumstance to practice the Dharma. And so there's the fundamentalist view, the liberal view. One's literal, one's metaphoric. There you go. May each being enjoy Potala. What's Potala? Potala is a Pure Land specifically. It's the Pure Land of both Chenrezig, the Buddha of compassion, and Green Tare, the Buddha of action. So that's the concise mandala offering. What some people would do is they would, let's see, let me make sure let me check the camera real quick. Okay, what some people would do is they would grab a pinch of grain, i.e. rice, put it in their hand, quickly do a mandala offering, say the mandala prayer, and after the mandala prayer they would do the mandala mantra, which is Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. To you, my precious Guru, I offer this jewel-filled universe. Please bless me. They bless the grain with their breath and then throw it in the air. Now, what I used to do is instead of using grain, I'd use birdseed, and that way I would combine my devotion to the teacher with my love for the living beings that were manifesting as birds. That way they'd be able to eat the birdseed, because eating raw rice is not good for birds. Obviously, I was told that. I'm not sure if that's true or not. So, that's a fun way to do it. Now let's explore the prayer of the middling offering. The middling offering is, hey, in addition, the words are, I offer without any sense of loss the objects that give rise to my oopsie, I'm still focusing on the table because I'm just that sharp. Oh, what a great producer I am not. Okay, I offer without any sense of loss the objects that give rise to my greed, hatred, and confusion. So let's stop right there. So we're saying, in addition to this fabulous universe full of jewels and Lexuses and puppies and kittens and rainbows and all my favorite foods, in addition to offering the Pure Land that I want to take rebirth in, or that I want to experience now, to the Buddha and to my teacher, who is a team, with my Buddha, with the Buddha. In addition to that, I'm going to explore the three mental poisons. Remember, the three mental poisons are greed, hatred, and confusion. And so whatever things cause me rage, I'm giving those away. Whatever things cause me greed, I'm giving those away. And whatever things cause me confusion, and the confusion that was kind of confused me when I was a young Dharma student. In terms of confusion, it's just a simple way of saying ignorance in terms of Buddhist terms means failing to recognize causality and impermanence. So, then we elaborated again, my friends, enemies, and strangers are bodies and enjoyments. So in other words, we tend to be greedy for our friends and feel hate for enemies and just feel indifference towards strangers. So if greed, hatred, and confusion are the renunciation level, then friends, enemies, and strangers would be the compassion level. Our bodies and enjoyments. So let's face it, we do have a love-hate relationship with our body and a love-hate relationship with the things we enjoy and crave. Let's face it, the same person who loves chocolate when they hate it, hates chocolate when they see the cellulite on their body, when they're naked, passing the mirror on their way to the shower. May I now be released from the three poisons. So what we're saying is, hey, I've made this offering, and now I'm elaborating this offering with the knowledge of the fact that there's things I struggle with in my life, and so I'm offering this to the teacher in hopes that through his blessings and through his guidance, I'll no longer be the slave of these mental poisons. So, in essence, let me adjust the camera yet again. Okay. So the whole thing goes. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flour. Of course, you can be extra fancy and put your hands to your mala. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers, the great mountain for land, sun, and moon, seen as a pure land and often thus, may each being enjoy potala. I offer without any sense of loss the objects that give rise to my greed, hatred, and confusion, my friends, enemies, and strangers, all bodies and enjoyments. May I now be released from the three poisons. Idam Guru Radna Mandala Gamniryatayami. And there you go. Now, as promised, the third instruction for the Mandala gesture or mudra. Okay, right middle finger to the base of the left index finger. Left index finger closes on the right middle finger. Left and middle finger extends. Right index finger holds it down. The middle fingers touch. The right pinky slides over, extends between the left ring and middle and pinkies. The left thumb holds it down. The left pinky extends over to the right palm, below the right pinky. The right thumb holds it down. And so, in rapid review, middle, ring, pinky, pinky. There you go. Let's try that again so it's actually on the camera. Middle, ring, pinky, pinky. And of course, if you're super cool, you can do it with your mala around your wrists. You don't have to. I wouldn't recommend starting with the mala. That's just too confusing and your head could actually explode. And none of us want that. Now this is typically taught to my second quarter students. And my second quarter students will find a link for this actually in their practice texts. If you're just a first quarter student, you don't have to learn this yet. You got your hands full. Be gentle with yourself. If you're not a student yet, if you are not attending weekly webinars, what are you waiting for? Sign up for a weekly webinar. Try it. You'll like it. Remember to click the subscribe button. Let's see, the subscribe button should be right there. And let's see, the like button should be here. The share button should be here. And let's see, the Twitter and the Facebook and the Google Plus button should be right there. Anyway, enjoy. May your journey to full enlightenment, your journey to becoming an Arhat and a Buddha, be brief and fun and easy and beneficial for all. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Tare Tu Tare, Ture Soha. Bye-bye.